Half a dozen University of Maryland students and recent graduates unloaded this Pinto at the foot of the State House in Annapolis. They're protesting what they say was Governor Robert Ehrlich's comparison of higher education to this low-cost car.
The guy wants to make education like a Pinto? All right, first of all, if you're going to say the line, say it right. It's, if you can't afford a Cadillac, buy a Chevy, all right? Now he's going to go one step further and say a Pinto?
Students are angry over a quote from Ehrlich in Wednesday's edition of the Washington Post. It reads, "If you can afford the Cadillac, that's terrific. But for some folks, you need to start out with the Pinto." The governor's office says he was referring to health care in the state, but students say the quote was symbolic, evidence that Ehrlich is willing to turn a world-class institution like the University of Maryland into an inferior school by cutting millions from the higher education budget.
University of Maryland is an excellent school, but if you cut funding, it's just not, the success just can't get any higher. The students are going to have to go out and find funding, elsewhere. I'm an out-of-state student. I don't think, my parents told me we couldn't afford this school one more year, so I'm glad I graduated when I did.
The governor's aides watched from windows and police were called to the scene. But because the students had the junker towed away, no tickets were issued. A spokesman for the governor says he inherited a billion-dollar budget deficit, and he'd welcome any suggestions from the protesters on how to close the gap. In Annapolis, Darcy Spencer, News 4.
My name's Tim Daly. Again, this is The Daily Show. I look forward to hearing and talking to you next Monday night. Until then, have a great week, and go Terps. Thanks so much. Talk to you then.
Great show, Tim. I thought you did a really good job tonight.
Hey, I appreciate it, Byron. I appreciate it. Good to see you, man. Hey, did you see that football game this weekend?
Yeah, I did. It was good.
Oh,
Good. We
man,
finally won.
I can't believe we pulled that out. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
And I'm all psyched about the governor being here next week. It's gonna be incredible. To have him.
I can't believe he agreed to do it. That's really going to be something else, and I'm excited. I can't wait till he's here, and we're really going to ask him some tough questions. Tough questions.
It's gonna be a great show. I believe you'll do great.
Great, I appreciate it. Okay, I got a quick voicemail message here, and then we're going to take off because the next show's going to come on in the next half hour. They're going to get ready. So, Byron, I'll talk to you in a bit.
I'll talk to you later, Tim.
Great. This is Greg Missoni from Public Enemy Number One's office, that being Governor Bob Ehrlich. From your comments today, we can pretty much clear up that we will not be doing your show anymore. Can't believe it. Ever since the University of Maryland was created in 1856 as a land-grant university, it has played a vital role for this region and for the state of Maryland. Since then, hundreds of thousands of students have completed their academic work at the university and have contributed greatly to this state. Even in its early days and through the 20th century, the University of Maryland has provided a top-notch education to Maryland residents at a reasonable cost. More recently, the success of the University of Maryland has been exponential. In 1998, Maryland was ranked just 30th among public universities. Now, it is ranked 17th. A decade ago, only a handful of programs were listed in the top 25 nationally. Now that number has grown to 68, including 50 programs in the top 15 alone. During his campaign for governor, Bob Ehrlich and his running mate Michael Steele pledged to keep this momentum going for the university. Even during the campaign, he stopped at the University of Maryland College Park in October 2002, where candidate Steele repeated this pledge. Most recently, however, the University of Maryland and the University System of Maryland have fallen under tough financial times. Soon after taking office, Governor Ehrlich has slashed millions of dollars from services all across the state, including over $50 million to the University System of Maryland. Then again in the summer of 2003, Ehrlich moved to cut another $40 million from the university system, which together directly caused a 21% tuition increase at the University of Maryland College Park alone. After Ehrlich rebuffed our attempt to talk to us on our radio show, we decided we'd go talk to Steve Hill, the chief analyst of the Maryland Tax Policy Institute, so that he could shed some light into how the budget process here in Maryland actually works.
And basically what happens is the governor submits a budget, and the only thing the legislature can do to it is cut it or approve it. The legislature can't add to the governor's budget. The legislature can't move money around in the governor's budget. So most of the power in the budget, almost all of the power in the budget process belongs to the governor. Part of the problem is the governor puts his budget together sort of, it's not in the light of day. It all happens inside meetings. There's not much public discussion. When it gets to the General Assembly, everybody talks about it, but there's not that much that the General Assembly can do about it.
So let me get this straight. You cut over $100 million in a year, and then you put your name on all the signs?
Higher education got cut perhaps because it's one of the easiest parts of the budget to cut. Other parts of the budget are education, health, public safety, things that provide critical direct services to people, and it's hard to cut them. Higher education could get cut because they could always raise tuition to make up for the shortfall.
If tuition keeps increasing, it doesn't make any sense because then, you know, this like less and less people are going to be able to go to the school, and then it's just, you know, like the degree isn't going to mean as much when you leave. It's not cool.
There was also a perception that higher education was fat. It had grown a lot under Governor Glendening. A lot of the growth that occurred under Governor Glendening was to make up for cuts that occurred in the early 90s. So while there was this perception that higher education was growing, we actually spent less on higher education in 2002 than we did in 1990. And we had 20-some% more students in 1992 than we did in 1990. So we hadn't been putting lots of money into higher ed.
Sure.
I went to in-state school, so my parents could pay for both me and my brother, knowing that there was going to be at least 1 year of that. And it's not been that much of a discount. I could have gone to Delaware for about the same thing as an out-of-state student with scholarships, yeah.
You know, in our attempt to finally go and see Governor Bob Ehrlich, I thought we might just go down to Annapolis and see if we can talk to him. Maybe then he'll finally listen to what we have to say.
All my dreams is sending my children to the school. That's the reason I came to this country, for having my dreams, have a house, and having my children go to school. But it's difficult with this money they pay us. And get worse because they add more work. And the point is not the work, the point is the money. They don't give it to us right.
Well, this is it. The Government House, State of Maryland, the Governor's residence. I was hoping to meet with Governor Ehrlich, please.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I was hoping to meet with Governor Ehrlich, please.
Did you have an appointment, sir?
No, I don't. I've been trying to get one for the last couple of months, but he hasn't given me one.
All right, we'll send somebody out for you.
Thank you. Hi. My name is Tim Daly. I'm the student body president of the University of Maryland, and Governor Ehrlich hasn't accepted any of my requests to meet with him over the last 5 months, and I was hoping I might be able to speak with him.
You have to make an appointment.
Well, but the problem is...
You want to interview him?
Well, I just want to talk to him. I mean, for the last 5 months, I've sent faxes and emails and phone calls, and I got one phone call return and an email return, and then that was it.
Have you talked to someone in the governor's press office?
Well, yeah, that's who I emailed, and I also emailed his scheduler and his fax to scheduler.
The governor's press office is in this building if you want to go contact them directly.
All right, so if I went in there and asked to go to the governor's press office, they'd allow me to do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Higher education took a much higher share of the cuts than other parts of the budget did. For example, public safety was cut very, very little, almost none. That's a big part of the budget.
Might as well go to another out-of-state school because it'll probably be about the same.
I do have a lot of loans.
that my parents had to take out. And I'm working about 15 hours a week in addition to 16, 17 credits that I'm taking. So, I mean, it's a lot, and I'm really glad that I am here, but it makes it really hard when my parents have to pay loans to try to make up for that, and I'm working, and it's just hard.
Well, we compensate for the cuts to higher education by raising tuition. So before the tuition increases, tuition in Maryland was 6th highest in the country. We're about 40% above the national average in the cost of going to a public 4-year university in state. Since that time, we've raised tuition 20%, almost 20% last year, and is going to go up another 10 or 11% next year. So we've cut state spending for higher ed, and we've just increased tuition to try and make up for some of that lost money.
They only give you $2,500 or $3,000 or something in the unsubsidized loan or whatever, and then the tuition plus books and stuff, plus my rent. So if I didn't have to pay rent, then maybe I'd be able to swing the tuition increase, but I can't. So, and it kind of sucks. Unless I go to grad school, in which case I can defer the loans even more and just pay them all off in one shot. But if I take a break after undergrad before I go to grad school, then I'm kind of screwed because then I have to start paying back the loan. So that's it.
After having no luck looking for the governor at his mansion, we decided to head back to Annapolis, this time to go up to the State House, up to the 2nd floor, and look for Governor Ehrlich in his office. Maybe he'll be around.
Hi. They sent us up here. We were looking for the governor's press office because we wanted to talk to somebody, and they keep sending us places.
Down that way.
Yeah, this is it. It's his press office.
He will be, yes.
Well, actually, I've been sending some faxes over and some telephone calls and some emails. I've been trying to meet with Governor Ehrlich or some of his press people. My name is Tim Daly. I'm over at the University of Maryland, College Park, and I haven't gotten much of a response, so I thought I'd stop in before the session started.
Yeah, Sharice is really busy right now. Do you know where Brandon is?
I think about the governor.
Okay, great. I know you said you've left messages. I need to just take your name and number again.
All right, well.
You're welcome to sit and wait, but I can't guarantee that it will be available anytime soon.
Well, we thought we might have some luck trying to find the governor up in his office. But, unfortunately, he nor any of the staff were available to talk to us.
One of the things that the legislature did in their budget was to close some corporate tax loopholes. There are ways that big multi-state businesses avoid paying taxes on their profits in Maryland by shifting their income and hiding it in other states. A lot of other states have closed this loophole, and our legislature enacted legislation that would close the loophole as well. Unfortunately, the governor vetoed that after the General Assembly adjourned.
One of those companies that just happened to get out of their taxes is Comcast. Oddly enough, the governor's wife, Kendall Ehrlich, just happens to work there.
Hi, how you doing? We're here to see Kendall Ehrlich.
I'm sorry, sir, but do you have an appointment with
No, we don't. We're here,
And you need to call and get an appointment.
Okay, is there anyone we can see from public relations or a
No, sir.
executive?
You need to call and get an appointment.
Okay, can I call right now and speak to somebody about... We're basically just here because Comcast gets out of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars of taxes
Sir,
over the years, and we're just here to...
27 different reasons why you're here.
I've got
you
more than
that
27.
unless you have an appointment, you're not allowed on private property. This is private property.
Okay.
So what I'm going to ask y'all to do is please move off of Comcast property.
Okay, is
If you
there's somebody
refuse to
from...
do that, then my next option is to call the county police and have them escort
Well,
you.
their budget's been cut the same as the higher
sir.
education's budget,
Okay.
so they'll probably have problems coming out
Okay,
here.
sir.
Students at Coppin State, Morgan, Bowie State,
UMBC, UMCP, UMES, Salisbury, Towson, all of the state schools, people that, you know, are working hard to be able to get an education, to be able to better themselves, and now because of practices of companies like Comcast and because of the pro-corporate, anti-student, anti-family stance that Governor Ehrlich's taken, these students are going to have to, you know, drop out of school and are not going to be able to continue their education. And so it's high time that the people in the state of Maryland stand up and say enough is enough. Governor Ehrlich needs to start and represent the people that, you know, are living here in the state and not the corporate bigwigs from around the world.
All of the cuts are avoidable. I mean, we have two choices. We can either raise more revenue or we can cut services. And right now the choice has been to cut services, to cut aid to education, to cut higher education, to cut health care, to cut Medicaid, not to raise revenues, not to close corporate tax loopholes, not to increase income taxes on the very rich, not to expand the sales tax base, but to cut services.
My family had to make some sacrifices just in the way that they were living. They sold some things that wouldn't have had to if that hadn't happened. So it was kind of hard for my family.
One of these companies that has a Delaware holding company is MCI WorldCom. Now, as part of the bankruptcy proceedings, MCI had to submit all this paperwork on their corporate finances, and people found that in a 3-year period, MCI had taken $19 billion of corporate profits and hid it in a Delaware holding company to avoid paying taxes in Maryland and other states. That's one company, $19 billion in a 3-year period.
So today we are going to Wilmington, Delaware. There are 650 Maryland corporations essentially in one building up in Delaware, and after we talked to Steve Hill over the Maryland Tax Policy Institute, we thought we'd pay a little visit to see these guys who are avoiding all of our Maryland taxes.
Virtually every store that you recognize when you walk into a mall is using these tax avoidance schemes, such as the Delaware Holding Company, to avoid paying taxes on the profits that they earn here from our business. So the only ones who are paying corporate income taxes tend to be the smaller, locally owned businesses that we go to, while their big multi-state competitors are avoiding paying their fair share of taxes. The legislature tried to close this loophole last year and make the big businesses pay their fair share, but the governor vetoed it.
Yeah, it's been a very bad time for this tuition increase because for several reasons. Because my dad lost his job this year, and so I've had to take out some Stafford loans. I think they're $5,000 loans to help pay for my tuition. And also, I've been trying to find a job on campus, and it's been very difficult. There don't seem to be a lot of jobs available, you know, unless I want to work like 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. So I'd really like to get out of college without debt, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Until May 1st, I was employed at the University of Maryland in the Office of Information Technology as a systems programmer. I was there for 14 years, and I had expected that in 5 years, when I was eligible for full retirement, that I would retire from there. But that didn't happen. It was a shock for a number of reasons. I lost not only my paycheck, I also lost health insurance, which at my age and my husband's age is a big deal. We're in our middle 50s, and I lost continued accrual of retirement benefits. So it affects my life not just now, but you know, as far into the future as I can see.
So we're here, we finally made it. 1105 North Market Street. I think we're gonna go over here. Jeffrey Inc., the corporation for Toys R Us, is right in here. So hopefully we'll be able to talk to somebody and find out what's going on.
There is an office building in Wilmington, Delaware, that on one floor of one office building is headquarters to 500 corporations. How do 500 corporations fit on one floor of one office building? It's easy. None of them have employees. They have a fraction of an employee that they all share. There's just empty desks. There's nothing there. That's what these holding companies are. They're completely shells as a way of avoiding taxes on the profits that these companies are earning in Maryland and in many other states.
Well, looks like there was a company here.
I'm utterly exhausted constantly. I'm working 3 jobs. I'm doing extracurricular stuff, classes. I'm a double major, trying to get it all in being a senior. Luckily, I am a senior, I say in a way, because it looks like for incoming freshmen, the prices are never going to stop increasing.
I just started working a paid job, so that gives me less of an opportunity to take internships and other types of jobs that would require less pay.
How many hours a week do you have?
I work 15 right now. We usually volunteer an extra 5. Yeah, when I graduate, I expect to have $15,000 to $20,000 in debt. And I mean, working here, that would take at least a year with no bills.
Well, we're back in the car again. We weren't so successful at 1105 North Market Street as we thought we were going to be. So, tried to get in. Needed an appointment. None of these corporations allegedly exist. They weren't up on the board. We found another way to get in. And after we tried to look around, we couldn't find anybody, actually. Security came and they told us we had to leave. So we're back in the car. Maybe we'll have a little bit more luck over at Dover Downs or Delaware Racetrack, rather. So we finally get here from Maryland. We're at Delaware Racetrack and the slot machines looking for Governor Bob Ehrlich. With a little bit of luck, we might be able to find him. They can answer some of our questions about our tuition increases.
How you doing, sir?
Hi, we're just here looking for Governor Bob Ehrlich.
You have to turn it off, sir, for a minute.
So first the governor was supposed to come on our radio show and just talk about public higher education and his priorities. But when he backed out, we had no other choice than to go to the governor's mansion and try and find him there, and then to the governor's office and try and find him there, and then to go see his wife over at Comcast, and we thought we would even get lucky by going to Delaware Racetrack, hoping that Governor Ehrlich would be there at his beloved slots. But every time, Governor Ehrlich avoided us because he doesn't want to talk to the people who he continues to cut hundreds of millions of dollars from.